I remember a few years ago, I saw my friend Dry Ice was playing this game, Bug Fable. At the time, I was curious about it, but I didn't decide to try it out at the time. Mostly because, well, I really don't have the greatest computer at the time. That and RPG games back then wasn't my forte. I was more focused on the 3D platformer games. But that's all in the past. My interest in type of genres changed on me. And when I was looking around on the PlayStation Network, I remembered the time of Bug Fables that caught my attention while Dry Ice played this game. So I figured, hey, you know what? Why not play this game? So I did. I bought the game. A couple of years after release. On Christmas time. 2022. Yeah, it's one of those classic tales late to the party. But hey, it's better late than never, and I'm glad that I did try it out because, holy guacamole, this is a great RPG game. Let's rewind the clock a little bit. The reason why it existed is basically because of Paper Mario. Paper Mario started off as a perfect RPG series, and turns out to be really grand. But then things change after Super Paper Mario, and they throw away everything great at it. The RPG series, thrown away into a puzzle/explorative platformer. All the great characters you can interact, replaced by toads. Lots and lots of toads. A great story that could be impactful and expands on the Mario universe. Nothing really special, just having it as paper elements. Yeah, this definitely alienated the fans so much. So, what better way to do it is by making a fan-made game, right? Well, unfortunately, Nintendo would just, DMC every single fan-made game. So what's the next best thing? 2 words. Indie games. Let me tell you, Nintendo definitely sleep on it because there are a lot of indie games that captures the Paper Mario series in general. Some that doesn't look exactly like Paper Mario, but definitely take notes from the Paper Mario series, while others definitely looks like Paper Mario with the paper aesthetics, but give a little bit of a twist to it. And Bug Fables: The Everlasting Sapling lies in that category. And here's the best thing. This isn't based off the first Paper Mario game. No. This is based off of the best acclaimed Paper Mario game, The 1,000-Year Door. Let that sink in. But enough of me rambling. Let's get the review on, shall we?
Get ready to explore new lands as we begin to review Bug Fables: The Everlasting Sapling. It's jamming time! Story opens up in the land of Bugaria, a land filled of, well, talking bugs, where you take control of the main 3 characters, Kaboo the Beetle, Bee the Bee, and Leaf the Moth, as they are sent by the Ant Queen herself to find all the 4 ancient artifacts. And what do those artifacts do? Well, help them to lead to the Everlasting Sapling. Cute title. And that's the main plot of the game. Yeah, they're cutting straight to the chase. Though, I gotta say, there's a lot more to it than meets the eye. Believe it or not, this game has layers with these characters. I mean, at the start of the game, you get to see Kaboo as being this honorable warrior-like spirit. Though there are some bits and pieces about his past that he doesn't want to talk about until later on in the game. In fact, he keeps on his pep talk with others and not bringing anything up as to what happened with his old crew. And with V, she has some sort of distaste to her be kind for some reason, which later on you get to learn as to why. And then Leaf. Boy, Leaf. Leaf has the worst. Fell asleep for 100 years and then suddenly woke up in the new age without any idea as to how in the world did he sleep for 100 years in a cave. In fact, we don't even know if that is even Leaf. For later in the game, there are some bits and pieces as to who Leaf really is. A little bit of mystery to it, and I like that. Too bad some of the character development is kind of locked into side missions. Yes, the main important part of the chapters is getting the everlasting sapling. The only character that seemed to have their arc to be fully completed is Kaboo. V and Leaf? Well, if you don't do the side missions, they just felt incomplete. I mean, yeah, you get to learn more about V's distaste of the bees, but her arc isn't finished until you do one certain side mission that basically fulfill her arc. And with Leaf, you don't get the chance to learn about anything about this past until probably almost at the end of the game. Now, is that a bad thing? To be honest, no, not really. It actually gives us time for the characters to develop more and more, main mission or side mission. Even with the side characters too. I mean, for crying out loud, when you first played through the game and met Queen Elizabeth II, you know that she wants the everlasting sapling, but you don't understand why until almost the very end of the game, where you learn about her motives and you kind of sympathize with her. I kind of like stuff like that. It just doesn't stop there. There's a lot to Bulgaria. The world, the build-up, the lore, everything. It felt so huge. I mean, some sort of sections felt like they're connected. Like, say, the Ant Queen's kingdom is somehow closer to the desert. But you don't know why that is. You might think, well, it's like Paper Mario. There's a desert world, there's a grass world, there's a poison world, there's a haunted house world. But once you go through chapter 3, go to the top of the beehive and look through a telescope, you begin to notice, wait, this isn't just a world. This is somebody's backyard, where literally small itty bitty bugs in a human's backyard. Wow. If you think it stopped there, oh boy, I did not talk about the gameplay. Every single review I've been hearing about this game, it always comes down to the same sentence. It's just like Paper Mario. And I can say the resemblance. You have the basics of the RPG. The attack, action commands, the magic, start an attack by running into a foe, or surprise the foe with a surprise attack, granting you an extra turn. But that's where the similarity ends. You see, you don't exactly take control of one character, but the entire team is Snakemouth that has their own abilities to boot. For example, Leaf is able to use his ice magic to freeze water to make a path or platforms, even with enemies, and in battle he can use it to get those enemies underground to pop out. V can use her bee ring to hit flying foes in the air and then suddenly knock them down to the team to do more damage. Or she can use it to hit Switch Star too far for the others to reach. While Kaboo can use his horn to not only cut grass or to destroy rocks, and also do piercing damage. Though unlike V and Leaf, where they can be able to attack the foes in the back of the line, Kaboo can only attack the foes in front of line on the ground level. But once your turn is done, it's the enemy's turn. And while some enemies can do minor damage, there are others that can do major or can cause some side effects like putting you into sleep or stunning you, for example. There is a way to avoid all that, and that is by, well, action commands. Either pressing a certain button before the enemy attacks, or mashing the button until the bar fills up. You can be able to reduce the damage output, in fact avoiding the effects. In fact, if you do it properly, you can be able to take 0 damage. Granted, it has to be a perfect frame, so it's not really easy to pull it off, but it's such a reward when you do it perfectly. Yes, this sounds like a simple concept, it becomes a little bit more complex as you play through the game. There are some enemies, like the seedlings for example, that you can exactly take a few hits here and there, and they will die in less than 2 turns. But enemies like, say, the wasp for example, it's a little bit more complicated. There are some wasps that are as simple as using their spears to attack you, the troopers, or there are some wasps that it's able to spawn in more, like the scouters. And then there are some that are able to dig underground, like the drillers, and then there's some that throw bombs with the bombers. Now, they each have their own defenses, their own attack points, as well as their own special abilities. Let's use the bomber wasp, for example. The bomber wasp has this box in front of them, and you can't exactly do a lot of damage. The only way to weaken their defense is by knocking them down. Twice. Now, you can be able to sacrifice one of your teammates' turn and allowing Kaboo to knock them down, while the other would be able to do a little bit more damage than before. But you might notice that Kaboo's attack is a little bit weaker. That's because if you sacrifice one of the teammates' turn, that reduces your attack points too. So you might be thinking, well, why not use the teamwork points? Well, yeah, you can use the teamwork points and it will do a lot more damage than a normal attack. But once again, it's magic points, and when you reduce the magic points, you're not able to use them again, unless you refilled it with a certain item. So once again, you have to plan things out. Are you going to be using your teamwork points to do more damage? Or are you going to risk chances by taking the damage while attacking them one at a time, having the chances of either the driller to be underground or the scouters spawn in more wasps? See, this is why I didn't want to say it's basically like Paper Mario, because while they do have similarities, they're not exactly alike. Paper Mario is simple, easy to follow, with only one main character and one partner at your side, while Bug Fable, on the other hand, turns that simple mechanic into a game of chess in minutes.
Okay, now you die.
Luckily, there are some things that are able to help you, other than items to refill your health or TP points for that matter. And that comes down to badges. There are many badges in this game that helps you in various situations. You got the basic ones, having more HP or TP, while there's others that certainly equip to one of the characters, like say Kaboo is able to do piercing damage whenever the person tries to attack you, without using magic or an item in this case. There's others, like Leaf is able to increase your teammate's power or decrease the opponent's defense, while the V is able to use certain effects, like using her piercing darts to make the opponents fall asleep or get poisoned or get electrified. Of course, you have to equip one of the certain characters with, let's say, more HP or a certain badge with different attributes. You can't exactly have all the badges to be equipped with all the characters at once. Do you want to have one of the certain characters to, if they get hit, the teammates will increase more power while in risk of reducing the defense? Or do you want one of the characters to go berserk and doing more damage but unable to use teamwork points or items? And of course, when you win the battle, you get experience points, or exploration points. And when you reach to a certain maximum amount of exploration points, you'll be able to level up to the next rank, where you'll be able to upgrade your health, teamwork points, or an amount of badges you can equip. My recommendation is to upgrade your badge points more often, because believe it or not, while teamwork points will be able to upgrade to, let's say, 3 per level, health on the other hand only upgrades to 1 at a time. So yeah, keep that in mind. But of course, the battle is just only one part of the game. The overworld is another situation. Like I said, you can use the teammates to use their own abilities to solve puzzles or to explore areas that you might not think you'd be able to explore back then without that ability, but then now when you got it. You can even use their abilities to run away or to stun them a little bit so you can be able to run into them, starting the attack with an extra turn. I like this idea. that gives you an option to run away before the fight begins, or to gain a surprise attack on them. It's kind of neat, when you ask me. And it's such a treat. There are just 2 minor complaints. You can only switch the team leaders one at a time. You can't exactly hold one of the certain buttons down and just select the team you want to pick. While it was a little bit annoying at first, I grown into it. But there's just one character I just can't stand, and that's V. Don't get me wrong, I love V. V is such a wonderful character, but her bearing, oh boy, it definitely needs lots of work. With Paper Mario, it was easy done when it comes with the hammer or the Koopa shell because it only aims left and right. With V, you can aim it in multiple directions, and even though that is a really neat detail, it can be a little bit frustrating when you're trying to hit a certain switch or trying to turn a certain wheel that is far away.
Oh, still off by that much. Try it again. Oh, try again. Try again. Oh, try again. Oh, try again. Oh, try again.
You try it again! I'm making my move!
If you think V is the only issue, no, it includes with the platforms themselves. Granted, I can be able to judge distance, able to jump over the ledge, but there are some cases like, say, dealing with the fly traps, for example, where you have to walk over them, but it's a little bit difficult to judge it sometimes on certain camera angles. And let's not to mention about the ifness walking on a thin branch only to fall off and landed into the death pits or the water below. Looking at you, Lost Sands and Wild Swaplands. Granted, you don't exactly die, but oh boy, it can be very quite frustrating sometimes. If there's one thing we can all agree on, is that Bug Fable definitely take notes from Paper Mario. All the characters you see, all the characters you can play, are paper thin, and they're interacting inside a world that feels like a pop-up storybook. It's kind of fascinating when looking around it. But here's a massive difference between Paper Mario and Bug Fable. But Paper Mario is kind of small, compact. There are some places you can explore or places you can be, but it doesn't give you anything much to do. It's just simply going to point A to point B. But with Bug Fable, it's huge, massive in fact. You can find places where you couldn't think you'd be able to explore back then, but can now when you get a certain ability. This encourages the players to explore each and every single place in Bulgaria. Let's use the Lost Sands for example. In that area, there was this, well, quicksand that doesn't allow me to get to the other side of the pillar. So I was like thinking, how am I going to reach over there? I can't exactly dig out of the ground. I can't even use the ice ability because I need water. So I decided to just forget it and just go back to playing the story mode. But then all of a sudden, I got V's ability of flying through, well, the gaps. And it suddenly clicked on me. Hey, I can use that ability to reach to the other side. So I went back to that certain place and used V's ability to fly over there, and I got one of the crystal berries. This actually gives me a reason to go back and explore areas or go to places I never thought I'd been there before. But the presentation is one thing I enjoy. The other thing I definitely enjoy is the music. I mean, the music actually reflects the environment around you. When you travel through the mystic caves of Snake Mouth Den, or when you travel through the area where you get this nicely calm tune whenever you go through the town, and when you meet the anthem. Remember when I talked about when the characters have layers? Well, it kind of has the same thing when it comes with the song. When you first meet the Ant Queen, the song gives you this unease, this tension around her that you don't exactly know her motives. You might be thinking, she's the main villain of the game. We might be rebelling her. But no, that's not the case. When you get to listen to the song a second time, when you learn more about the Ant Queen, that unease tension turns into this sad, empathetic tune. This is pure genius. I kinda wish that more video games would take notes from Bug Fable.
Man, Tristan Alric is the perfect choice to compose the soundtrack for Bug Fable.
If you ever had a chance to listen to the songs, I recommend to checking it up on YouTube. Or you can buy all the songs from the Moth Lady and listen to the music whenever you want. Either way works. Throughout the story, you receive optional quests for you to do. Some rewards you with money, others rewards you with badges, others reward you with small other objects, like say a lost book or a lost item. Personally, I prefer doing missions first if you're running low on money or need the badges to help you out more, or learning new moves, or just free XP in general. That, or you learn the new recipe that can allow you to help you in battles. Just grabbing a certain item for TP or HP helps you so little, but if you decided to cook them, you get something more health, able to revive 2 of your teammates, while at the same time heal everyone, while some even give you a churn. Bear in mind though, it's all experimental with random foods you can make, so go wild, but don't expect everything to be edible.
But then we got the minigame. You see, every single time you tally an enemy, you basically know the attacks, defense, their attributes, the whole shebang. But if you tally the opponents, you'll also be able to play a certain minigame. Spy cards.
How I can easily describe this spy cards battle is kind of similar to Yu-Gi-Oh! When you think about it. You have a certain amount of cards and you start off with 5 HP and 2 TP. You gradually build up your TP as you continue playing through the game. Now here's the main goal. You have to have the highest attack points. If you have the highest attack points, you can be able to lower your opponent's full health point. Once you reach to 0, you win the battle. Now, why is this important? Well, I'm glad you asked. You see, there are 4 champions that you have to face. If you manage to beat all 4 of them and receive the 4 stamps from them to show that you can accomplish it, you can be able to enter into the Spy Cards tournament. This is really important if you want to grind some berries, because holy guacamole, it helped me a lot. Sure, it's luck based, but if you manage to win 3 times in a row, you can be able to reward yourself with, get this, 150 berries. 150 berries! Yeah, I'm even in shock as well, because when I first played through the game, I didn't think about using it. But when I decided, you know what, I'll fight all the champions and go to this metal island to enter in a tournament, I just realized I can easily grind the berries 7 times. Granted, there is a fee of entering in, like 25 berries, but it goes by so fast. Forget about trying to grind berries in the overworld. Forget about getting a badge that can be able to get you more berries, but the cost of getting hurt a lot more. Forget about trying to stock it up onto your bank account in order to get more berries per an hour. I can easily go into Metal Island, enter the tournament, and get so many berries I can easily lose count. The only cost of losing is 25 berries, granted, but wait, there's more! We also have an arcade, which isn't actually really much. It's more of a distraction if you don't want to play the main game. However, they do have a nice selections to them. One feels like a Flappy Birds game, while the other kind of feels like one of those Doom games. You know, the very first Doom game where you go around and kind of like a 3D game, but it's not exactly 3D. It kind of feels like it's a 2.5D, but it's in like a 3D map. Yeah, that type of Doom game. But there is one thing you have to take in particular, and that is find certain abilities for Leaf, of course, but also bows for your simple little Chompy. Yes, you can be able to have a fourth member of Snake Mouth. This little Chomper, holy guacamole, it made the bosses a little bit more easier for me. Granted, Chompy doesn't do a lot of damage, maybe 1 or 2 hits, but it can help you a little bit more in the battlefield if you manage to equip with a certain bow. Some bows will allow Chompy to be able to stun opponents, or put them to sleep, or poison them. They can even take a hit in order to refill TP for the team.
If you think I'm done there, oh, I'm just warming up. Lore books that need to be collected, exploring Bulgaria and learning about the agriculture and the places itself, trying to do a little bit of bounty hunting, doing boss rush, battle rush, crystal berries, achievement trophies. I can go on and on about this game. But if you want a greater challenge than the bosses that you faced beforehand, there is the post-ending quest, where you either face off against the Ant Queen's greatest warriors, or the bounty hunters that are a little bit of a slackers themselves. And here's the thing, I'm not even done with this game. There's a lot of things I haven't found. The crystal berries, all the lore books, there is some things I haven't even done, like finally finishing the battle rush or the boss rush. No doubt I want to continue playing through this game, but I'm trying to do a review around Bug Fables, so I had to wrap things up. I honestly wouldn't mind doing a live stream around this game someday. Maybe in the next upcoming week. Who knows, time will tell. But for right now, let's wrap the review up, shall we? I never try out the 1000-Year Door. So, my perspective around the game might change when Nintendo decided to, well, I don't know, make a remaster or maybe a GameCube collection for the Nintendo Switch online service. I'm just not their Nintendo at this point. But Bug Fables is actually quite a fun game to play. I enjoy it beginning to end, I enjoy the characters, and the gameplay, while it feels like Paper Mario, definitely gives it a little bit of twist to it. There are some problems with it. Yeah, bits and pieces. Like for example, how the paper characters interacting with the 3D level layout didn't exactly match very well in my opinion. But at the same time, I did enjoy the game throughout, despite the issues I have with it. So, if you want to try the game out for yourself, or if you're a Paper Mario fan and have that little itch to try out the good old days when Paper Mario was an RPG game, this is definitely the game for you. Fantastic. So, those are my thoughts about the game. What about yours? Do you like it or did you not? Place your thoughts on the comment section below. Till then, this is Jeremiah from Jamfrog35 saying stay jamtastic and have yourself a holy